Welcome to my top 5 places to visit in Vietnam. If you do go to Vietnam, make sure you check these places out. So to jump straight into it, number 5, Hoi An, a really nice little town, about halfway down the country I think. Lots of traditional buildings, architecture. It's also got some great little markets, really nice restaurants. It's obviously got the river running through. When we went there, the river was actually quite flooded. We couldn't get across the other side. So once the flooding had got a bit better, we were then able to go over the river to the other side. Over the other side were a collection of loads of nice bars, good nightlife there as well. We met a lot of other travellers. We spent a couple of days there exploring the town, going to some of the shops and nice bars and restaurants. We also actually found an astroturf to have a kickabout on, which was really good fun. After we'd kind of finished our kickabout, I think we paid about $10 or something for a couple of hours to have a kick around. We were craving playing a bit of football. There was actually a 6-a-side tournament there, and we sat and watched that for a bit, which was really funny. Moving on to number 4, I've gone for Ho Chi Minh / the Cu Chi tunnels. So we flew into Ho Chi Minh, it was our last destination in Vietnam. One of the main excursions, obviously, when you go to Ho Chi Minh are the Cu Chi tunnels. Now this was a really eye-opening and quite emotional experience. Great trip. It takes around 2 hours out of Ho Chi Minh. We had a great guide who had actually been in the Vietnam War. When we got there, we were taken around the museum, a few historical bits, a little bit of a video, and then after about 20 minutes, we got to go into the tunnels. And wow, apparently these tunnels were increased in height for Western tourists. And I'm telling you now, you are seriously crouching. It's pitch black. It's really rough. It's a 100-meter tunnel they've got there which you can walk in, and every 20 meters there's an exit point. I think I lasted 40 meters before I wanted to get out. It was really horrible. One of the shocking things that I learned there during the war, the Vietnamese would have stayed in there for around 5 years. So you can imagine how much of a horrid life that is and what actually a brutal war it was. Read about it in textbooks, learned about it at school, but going there, seeing the tunnels, seeing some of the weapons and the traps and stuff like that just shows you how much of a really brutal war it really was. So not like a really happy memory, but quite an emotional one. And it's when you go on nice trips like this, you need to realise how fortunate you are. So moving on to number 3, I've gone for the city of Hanoi. We flew directly into Hanoi. It was our first destination on the trip. It's like having that first sip of beer on holiday. We were so tired but so buzzed up to be there. We went straight out, got some food and went straight down to Pub Street. Our first night in Hanoi, we went into a bar, they did a lock-in, there was some karaoke, they were playing English songs. We were having such a good laugh, drinking with the Vietnamese people. They were buying us drinks, we were dancing, singing. I can't say a bad word about Hanoi. It was so fun. We spent around 3 days there and honestly had such a good time. There's everything there. Great food, great bars, great people. You can go and do some history. We went to see some temples. Everything is within walking distance. And if not, you just get on Grab, get a taxi and you can go there. Such a great place to people watch as well. A lot of the bars have like upstairs so you can look down on the hustling bustling streets. So cool. As soon as you step out your hotel, it's carnage, motorbikes, hustle bustle. There's industry everywhere. For number 2, I've gone for Halong Bay. We got our motorbikes and we actually drove to Cat Bar Island where you can get the ferry into Halong Bay. And wow, such an awesome experience. About $80 it costs for an overnight ferry, which means that's all your activities included, food and your cabin on board. Like I mentioned, you get activities included, so we were doing snorkeling, jumping off the boat, fishing, cycling, we made spring rolls, we did karaoke. Really great experience. That cost about $80 and then we had some really nice meals as well. So we were on the boat for like a total of 24 hours, like an overnight. And actually the cabin, such comfortable beds in the cabin, own ensuite bathroom. You've got a big panoramic window so you can just see the beautiful bay as you go past. Now, number 1, it has to be the Giang Loop. It's quite broad, it's not a one particular area, it's a whole big area, essentially the whole north portion of Vietnam, but it would be impossible to choose one of those areas. It was just so good. We rented bikes, and if you get the opportunity to do this, you have to do it. We picked up our bikes in Hanoi and headed onto the Giang Loop from the east side and come back round on the west, and honestly, it's the best travel experience I've ever had. The sense of freedom of jumping on your bike every day, riding into unknown, unreal countryside in Vietnam and just seeing things that you'll never see again. It's like a movie, it's like Jurassic Park. Humongous jungle-lined mountains and just absolutely epic scenery all the time. One of my personal favourite things was actually just stopping every day at a roadside cafe for some noodles. It would cost you like 50p, massive bowl of noodles, fried egg on top, beautiful view, and then you'd hop straight back on your bike, and then you'd turn up at a random hotel in a random town. The hotel would cost you about £10 and it would be a decent hotel. Other things we found as well, you could get a really nice hotel for about 20 quid, and that's between 3 people. We stayed in this unbelievable lodge bungalow kind of thing with its own private pool looking out into the jungle. The winding roads were pretty dangerous at times, but I'd take that risk of on the dangerous roads to have that experience of freedom and just cruising through the countryside with your mates on bikes. We met all friendly people when we were there, all the locals so friendly, waving, saying hello, so accommodating as well when we were going into their hotels. This #1 place for Giang Loop, honestly, the best travel experience I've ever had. I've been fortunate enough to travel around quite a bit, and this is my top thing that I've done. I want to reiterate the sense of freedom you get when you jump on your bike and you're just cruising through the Vietnamese countryside with your mates. So good.